start level 2 speech competition. Judges will be Shahidi and Sikhism. The definition of
Everyone has to
Shahidi
be
and
quiet.
Sikhism is martyrdom and Sikhism. The word Shahid relates to the word Shahadat, which means testimony. A Shahid is a person or witness who dies in testimony of their faith. In Sikhism, a Shahid may be anyone who is martyred because of religious things. Shahidi and Sikhism is important to Sikhs because those people have sacrificed their lives for their faiths and what they believe in. Shahidi is also important because Guru Arjan Dev Ji sacrificed his life and others followed. These Sikhs who died to protect their faith are highly respected in Sikh religion because they projected unshaken patriotism and belief. These martyrs were offered treasures, luxury, and comfort of a lifetime. By then, the governor of Shahid Wazir Khan on the condition that they converted to Islam. But greed could not overtake the supreme and divine faith of these religious martyrs on Sikhism and rejected the offer ardently. At the time, Guru Arjan Dev Ji, a large number of people of all castes were becoming Sikhs. Even a large number of Muslims had accepted Guru Arjan Dev Ji as a guide and a religious teacher or guru. This was unacceptable to some of the Qazis and mullahs. He then became determined to put a stop to it. They conspired and convinced Emperor Jahangir that Guru Arjan Dev Ji was a deterrent to spread of Islam and had exalted Islam and urged him to stop Guruji. The ghastly solution they came up was to end Guruji's life. Guru Arjan Dev Ji started the concept of Shahidi and Sikhism, and he was made to sit on a red-hot iron plate because Jahangir wanted to turn a Sikhism state into an Islam state. But Guru Arjan Dev Ji sacrificed his life to keep Sikhism alive. They asked Guru Arjan Dev Ji, do you want to convert to Islam or have death? And the Guruji chose death because that's how much he loves Sikhism and wants Sikhism to keep on going. He was also entitled Shahid of the Star because he was a pioneer and champion of martyrdom in Sikh history. The great Holocaust of Sikh history is known to Sikhs as Bhagat. The 18th century Afghani invader Ahmad Shah Ghali led his sixth major assault against the Sikhs in 1762 AD. The Shah's general Nurid Din Bermazi had suffered defeat in battle with the Sikhs who set up Jassa Singh Malaya as the lieutenant of Bhagat. वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी की फतेह तेरा किया मीठा वाहे हर नाम पदारथ नानक मांगे. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was the fifth Guru of the Sikhs and was the first great martyr in Sikh history, known as Shahid of Sarkar. The term Shahid is only used for those who sacrifice their life for a good cause. A martyr is a person who thought about religion and humanity before themselves and will willingly suffer death and give up their life for a good great cause, belief, or principle. Martyrdom is important in Sikhism because it is a fundamental concept and represents an important element of the belief. The word used to describe how Guru Arjan Dev Ji demonstrated the Shahidi tradition was very calmly, thoughtfully, and quietly. He stayed calm for 5 long, harsh days without any pain. Guru Arjan Dev Ji suffered all of this to show Sikhs that backing out and giving up ever in what you believe in won't help. And he became the role model of Shahidi in Sikhism. Guruji was given nothing to eat and drink. He was boiled in hot water, got hot sand put on top of him, and set on a red hot iron plate. But throughout all this, Guruji did Mount Simran over and over, feeling nothing and not giving up. 136 were killed. 6 were dragged to a pile of logs and burned. Some of the 6 were hung on trees upside down and burned alive. One of the most horrifying holocausts in Sikh history was Operation Blue Star. It was directed by Indira Gandhi in 1984 when she ordered all Sikhs to be killed in India. But one surprising thing was that Gangu Brahmin, who was greedy and betrayed Mata Guruji and the 2 younger Sahibzade for jewels, was Indira Gandhi's grandfather 6 generations before. So history repeats itself. Some Sikh martyrs are the 2 younger Sahibzade, Baba Zorawar Singh Ji and Baba Fateh Singh Ji. Both of the 2 younger Sahibzade had refused to convert to Islam and would rather accept death. Orders were given to bring them alive and they achieved martyrdom. But Bhai Mani Singh Ji was the most learned and revered Sikh of his time. He was arrested for not paying the stipulated sum. Zakir Khan ordered to embrace Islam or face death. But Bhai Mani Singh Ji refused and was cut into pieces, joint by joint. One of the others was the Jali Mukte of Ajit. Opening for
He chose to stay. Also, the four Sahibzadehs sacrificed their lives to Baba Ajit Singh Ji and Baba Jujhar Singh Ji fought in a battle to save India. Baba Zorawar Singh Ji and Baba Fateh Singh Ji were kept alive. They did all of that just to save us. Without them, we wouldn't be here. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Opening for The literal definition of shaheed is known as a martyr, someone who has sacrificed their life for their religious beliefs. In Sikhism, a shaheed is one who demonstrates the sacrifice of their physical body for the betterment and freedom for the entire Sikh cause. Shaheedi is important to Sikhism in a various number of ways. For example, before Guru Arjan Dev Ji's Jyoti Jot Samaya, he was told instead of being put on a hot plate, he could convert to Islam and pay a fee of 200,000 rupees. When his Sikhs said they would pay for him, he said no. Now you may think, why would one rather be tortured to death instead of paying their way out of it? The reason behind it was because paying a fee would be like acting like slaves towards the king when they were actually free people. This shows his commitment towards the Gurus and their teachings. Today, many Sikhs are willing to give up their articles of faith because of social pressures. They feel by giving up their faith, they will gain wealth and what they feel as social acceptance in society. Where our Guru was ready to give up his life and fortune instead of converting to a different religion. The Muslim king Jahangir thought by torturing and eliminating the Guru, all of his followers would convert to Islam. However, the opposite occurred. Because of the teaching and sacrifices that Guru Ji made for us, did not make us weaker but stronger. All of this is what makes Guru Arjan Dev Ji the true pioneer of faith, also known as Shaheed Sartaj. There are so many other people who sacrificed their lives for the Sikh cause.
Also used to put out a mantra. According to Sikhism, means to sacrifice your life for the faith of the religion. Shaheedi is very important in Sikh religion. Without these Shaheedina, our path has not been there. We remember all those Shaheed because of them in our daily advice. In Sikhism, most of our Sikhs are capable of revolting against the evil things, but have sacrificed their life for the humanity and remain in the heart of the Sikh. Guru Arjan Dev Ji demonstrated Shaheedi by giving his life when he had all the power. There was 5 days torture given to Guru Ji. On the 5th day, he was seated on a hot summer sand. On the 2nd day, he was put inside a pot of boiling water. On the 3rd day, he was seated on a hot metal plate, and hot sand was poured over his head with big ladders. During that time, Saint Lamir went to see him and saw that while executioner was pouring hot sand, Guruji sat in a calm meditative mood. Then Guruji then asked to sit on a hot metal plate while hot sand was poured on his head. On the 5th day, Guruji sat on cold water of river Ravi to inflict more torture. This magnitude of Guruji is a witness to truth. To remain firm in his faith. That is why he is known as Shaheed and Sartaj. Some other people in Sikhism who demonstrate Shaheedi are Guru Tegh Bahadurji by Taru Singh Ji, by Matidas, by Satidas Ji, four Sahibzadehs by Deep Singh Ji, and Baba Deep Singh. Guru Tegh Bahadurji got his head cut off by Taru Singh got his scalp removed, and Sahib Ajit Singh Ji and Sahibzada Singh Ji died on the battlefield of Jamkor. Sahibzada Zorawar Singh Ji and Sahibzada Fateh Singh Ji were picked alive, and by Matidas Ji was tied on 2 thick logs of wood, and 2 professional executioners were placed a huge saw on the head of by Matidas Ji. They had Guru Arjan Dev Ji as their role models. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Up next will be Harlan Kaur.
ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਦੇ ਸਰਤਾਜ ਗੁਰੂ ਅਰਜਨ ਦੇਵ ਜੀ ਨੂੰ ਤਸੀਹੇ ਦੇ ਕੇ ਤਤੀ ਤਵੀ ਉੱਤੇ ਬਿਠਾ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਕੀਤਾ ਗਿਆ। तेरा किया मीठा लागे हर नाम पदारथ नानक मांगे। गुरु अर्जन देव जी की शहीदी धर्म के इतिहास विच महान घटना है। इस शहादत ने सिखा ने जुल्म नाल टक्कर लेना, अकाल पुरख का पाना मिठा करके मनना, सर्व संतोख ते दृढ़ता नाल अपने हक्कां दी रक्षा करने का जज सिखाया। नौवे पातशाह गुरु तेग बहादुर जी ने दिल्ली के चांदनी चौक विच सिर धड़ तो कटवा के शहीदी दी। गुरु गोबिंद सिंह जी ਦੇ ਵੱਡੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦੇ ਚਮਕੌਰ ਦੀ ਜੰਗ ਵਿੱਚ ਲੜਦਿਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰ ਗਏ ਅਤੇ ਛੋਟੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦੇ ਮੁਗਲ ਹਿਰਾਸਤ ਅੰਦਰ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕਰ ਗਏ। ਗੁਰੂ ਦਸ਼ਮੇਸ਼ ਪਿਤਾ ਦੇ ਦੋਹੇ ਦੁਲਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਨੀਹਾਂ ਵਿੱਚ ਖਲੋ ਕੇ ਬੁਲੰਦ ਸੁਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਕਿਹਾ, ਹਮਰੇ ਵੰਸ਼ ਰੀਤ ਹੈ ਆਈ, ਸੀਸ ਦੇਖ ਪਰ ਧਰਮ ਨਾ ਜਾਏ। ਇਹਨਾਂ ਤੋਂ ਬਾਅਦ ਬਾਬਾ ਬੰਦਾ ਸਿੰਘ ਬਹਾਦਰ ਅਤੇ ਹੋਰ ਅਣਗਿਣਤ ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਸਿੰਘਣੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਤੇ ਦ੍ਰਿੜ ਰਹਿ ਕੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਪ੍ਰਾਪਤ ਕੀਤੀਆਂ। इन्हां महान सूरवीरां विचों एक बीबी शरण कौर जी सन, जिन्हां ने खंडे बाटे ते अमृत की शक्ति दा सदका जंग विच शहादत प्राप्त करने वाले ਸਿੰਘਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ आत्म संस्कार करन दा इरादा कर लिया ताकि उन्हां के शहीदां दी बेअदबी ना हो सके। इकट्ठे करके वीर शहीद सारे शरण कौर ने आन संस्कार किया। रखिया खौफ न रखता भी दिल अंदर शहीद रूहां नूं ऐसा प्यार किया। रण अंदर वेख के एक कली सिंह दुश्मना ने बड़ा सिंगार किया। जालमा शरण कौर ने सुर दिता अंदर हाथों वध के पापियां अत्याचार किया। साथ में सिख इतिहास की हर साखी एक प्रेरणा का स्रोत है। तन गुरु ते सिख ते तन गुरु की सिक्खी मैनू अपनी सिक्खी ते मान है। उन्हां चक्का दी खिमा। वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह।
Next. I do. Waਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ। Shah sent the marriage proposal for his daughter for Guruji's son, Guru Har Gobind Singh. He refused this marriage proposal. After the refusal of the marriage proposal, Chandu Shah and Prithvi Chand complained about the Guruji to the Mughal Emperor Akbar. They said the Adi contained offensive remarks against Muslims and Hindus. But when Akbar died and his son Jahangir was emperor, and then again they complained to him about Guruji. He said Guruji had to revise the Holy Granth and remove any references to Islam and pay 200,000 rupees as a fine. Guruji told the Mughal Emperor Jahangir that the money was the holy trust of the Sikh community and the hymns in the Holy Granth was revelation in the honor of God, and no one can change this. When Guruji refused to pay the fine and changed the words, they arrested Guruji and made him sit on a red-hot iron plate with hot sand poured on his body. And also was given a dip in boiling water and said, "Tera vana meetha lage." After 5 days of brutal torture, Guruji asked to take a bath in the river Ravi. When the river had taken Guruji away forever, now he celebrated the Guruji Shahidi in June by serving Amrit water to the people. After Guru Arjan Dev Ji, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji was beheaded for the Hindu faith. Guru Gobind Singh Ji's younger Sahibzade were picked alive. Mata Gujar Ji, Baba Banda Bahadur Singh Ji, Bhai Mani Singh Ji, Bhai Taru Singh Ji, Baba Deep Singh Ji, and the Khalsa women are also refugees in Sikhism. We are proud of our Sikh religion and Ramadan and what they did for us, so we have to learn about this. Vaiguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaiguru Ji ki Fateh. Up next is Harmendra Kaur.
वाहिगुरू जी का खालसा वाहिगुरू जी की फतेह। शहीदी शहीद शब्द अरबी ਦੇ ਸ਼ਬਦ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਤੋਂ ਨਿਕਲਿਆ ਹੋਇਆ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਕੁਰਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਰਜ ਹੈ। ਕੁਰਾਨ ਵਿੱਚ ਬਹੁਤ ਹੀ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਹਾਦਤ ਦਾ ਮਤਲਬ ਗਵਾਹੀ ਕਰਨਾ ਹੈ ਤੇ ਸਿਰਫ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਤੇ ਇਸ ਦਾ ਭਾਵ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀ ਹੈ। ਸ਼ਹੀਦ ਉਹ ਇਨਸਾਨ ਹੁੰਦਾ ਹੈ ਜੋ ਆਪਣੇ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਸਥਾਨ ਤੇ ਲੋਕ ਭਲਾਈ ਲਈ ਆਪਣੀ ਜਾਨ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਬੇਅੰਤ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨਾਲ ਭਰਪੂਰ ਹੈ। ਸਮੇਂ-ਸਮੇਂ ਤੇ ਸੰਗਠਿਤ ਕੀਤਾ। ਸੱਤ ਸਿਪਾਹੀ ਦੇ ਸਥਾਨ ਤੇ ਚੌਕੀਆਂ ਚੌਦਿਆਂ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨੇ ਜ਼ੁਲਮ ਦੇ ਖਿਲਾਫ ਬਹੁਤ ਜੰਗਾਂ ਲੜੀਆਂ ਤੇ ਇਹ ਲੜਾਈ ਅੱਜ ਤੱਕ ਚੱਲ ਰਹੀ ਹੈ। ਬਹੁਤ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਹੋਈਆਂ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਹਨ, ਪਰ ਛੋਟੇ ਸਾਹਿਬਜ਼ਾਦਿਆਂ ਦਾ ਸਗਾ ਅੱਜ ਵੀ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਝੰਜੋੜ ਕੇ ਰੱਖ ਜਾਂਦਾ ਹੈ। 5 ਤੇ 7 ਸਾਲ ਦੀ ਉਮਰ ਵਿੱਚ ਦਿੱਤੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਕ ਨਵੀਂ ਮਿਸਾਲ ਕਾਇਮ ਕੀਤੀ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਰਹਿੰਦਿਆਂ ਸਦੀਆਂ ਤੱਕ ਯਾਦ ਕਰਾਉਂਦੀ ਰਹੇਗੀ ਕਿ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਿਧਾਂਤ ਸਾਡੀ ਜਾਨ ਤੋਂ ਬਹੁਤ ਜ਼ਿਆਦਾ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਰੱਖਦਾ ਹੈ। ਸਾਡੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਦਾ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਮੈਨੂੰ ਲਗਾਤਾਰ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਅਸੂਲਾਂ ਤੇ ਦ੍ਰਿੜ ਰਹਿਣ ਦੀ ਪ੍ਰੇਰਨਾ ਦਿੰਦਾ ਹੈ। ਪਰ ਅੱਜ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਇਤਿਹਾਸ ਤੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਭੁੱਲਦੇ ਜਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ ਅਤੇ ਫੈਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਤੇ ਪੰਜ ਕਕਾਰ ਤੇ ਅੰਮ੍ਰਿਤ ਦਾ ਮਹੱਤਤਾ ਨੂੰ ਵਿਸਾਰ ਰਹੇ ਹਾਂ। ਬਹੁਤ ਸਾਰੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬੱਚੇ ਅਤੇ ਬੱਚੀਆਂ ਨਸ਼ਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਆਦੀ ਹੋ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ ਤੇ ਕੇਸ ਕਤਲ ਕਰਾ ਰਹੇ ਹਨ। ਅਰਦਾਸ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਸ਼ਹੀਦਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਯਾਦ ਰੱਖੀਏ ਤੇ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਵਿੱਚ ਪੱਕ ਰੱਖੀਏ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਮਾਣ ਹੈ ਕਿ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹਾਂ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ।
Up next we have her stage for
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। I believe that a shaheed is someone who sacrifices their life for something they strongly believe in. In the Ardas, we remember the brave Sikhs who gave up their lives. The Ardas says, "Jinna Singha Singhya ne dharam khen seete, Bhagwan Katwaye, Khopriya Lahaya, Charpriya de Chare, Arya Naam Charaye, Kudware de Seva le Kurwaniyan Diya, Dharam ne Hare." This line shows that people were executed and tortured to keep their faith. Shahidi basically makes up most of the history in the Sikh religion. Guru Arjan Dev Ji is the fifth Guru. He is an example of a Shaheed. Muslim leaders captured our Guru and tortured him. They put Guruji in a boiling pot and added hot
ਸਾਧ ਸੰਗਤ ਜੀ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। ਜੋ ਤੋ ਪ੍ਰੇਮ ਲੜਕਾ ਚਲ, ਸਿਰ ਦਰ ਪਈ ਗਲੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਆਓ। ਇਸ ਮਾਰਗ ਪੈਰ ਸੇ ਨੀਚੇ, ਸਿਰ ਦੀਜੇ ਕਾਰ ਨਾ ਕੀਜੇ। So said our first master, Guru Nanak Dev Ji. What is a shaheed? The literal meaning is a martyr. In Sikhism, a martyr has a broad meaning. A shaheed is literally a witness who dies in testimony of their faith, and may be anyone who selflessly sacrifices life willingly for the well-being of others or chooses death rather than forced conversion. Our gurus were teachers who practiced what they preached and taught us by demonstration. Guru Arjan Dev Ji could have easily escaped John Beer's imprisonment, but he was there for a reason: to demonstrate their tradition of martyrdom, which was soon to become an integral part of a Sikh's life. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was a pioneer of martyrdom in Sikh history and aptly given the title of Shaheed al-Sarkaj. He was preparing the Sikhs to sacrifice their life for the sake of others. It was just 69 years later, in the year of 1675, that our ninth master, Guru Tegh Bahadur's son, Ji again demonstrated how to sacrifice oneself for the right of others, for human rights and religious freedom. Such was the path laid by Guru Arjan Dev Ji that our history thereafter is enriched by thousands of shaheeds who gave up their life for the sake of others. May it be fighting the Hindus, the Mughals, the Hindu militias, the Britishers, or the Indian government. Their shahadas have given us so many role models in the likes of Bhai Mati Das Ji, Bhai Taru Singh Ji, Bhai Shahbaz Singh Shubek Singh Ji, Mata Gujri Ji, Bhai Mani Singh Ji, Sant Jarnail Singh Ji Bajrwale, Bhai Satwan Singh Ji, Bayan Singh Ji, and the list goes on and on. Khalsa Ji, the remembrance of shaheeds in our daily ardas is not a mere ritual or tradition. It is there for us to reflect upon the bravery and courage of those Singhs and Singhanis who sacrificed their life to get justice for others. Today, our Sikhism is alive.
And had hot sand pouring over its head. Then later on, to show the Sikhs that they should, instead of being like, they wanted basically to us to convert into their religion. And so they put, after they poured hot sand on Guru, they put him in cold water and made blisters come on his skin. Later, the four Sahibzades and Guru Gobind Singh Ji sacrificed themselves. Two of the older Sahibzades, they died on the battlefield, and the younger Sahibzades were bricked alive by the Muslims. Then, Mata Gujri Ji, she died for the Sahibzades as well by sitting in a cold tower, and the Sahibzades also did the same before getting bricked alive. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji.
Up next is Jasmine Cole. Which one? California? Seattle? No, you're from California. How about Virginia? There's one Jasmine. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was born on May 2nd, 1563 in Goindwal, Tarantaran. He was a fifth Nanak born by Guru Ramdas Ji and Pani Ji, the daughter of Guru Amar Das Ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was the first martyr in Sikh history. A martyr is one who decides to give up his life for whatever cause she or he sought. Guruji took a dip and where he left his body and merged into eternal light. Guruji brought this vibratory to send an example to Sikhs that they can accept Shahid Diva, can never tolerate insult. The way a leader lives becomes a character of the followers. Guru Arjan Dev Ji demonstrated that a Sikh should live with dignity and die with honor. Sikhs were attacked on all four sides on the morning of February 5th, 1762. Thousands of Sikhs, predominantly women and the children, were killed at once. The Sikh leaders decided to take action. Fighting against the enemy, a group raised strong cordon around the Bahan. Jassa Singh Ahluwalia, Charak Singh and Sham Singh were in front of the group, leading about 40,000 combined Singhs. They fought with bravery and invincible fortitude. They fought from village to village, pushing along. This is a Vada Talukara in which about 20,000 Sikhs lost their lives. Fatah Singh Ji and his sister were providing meals to the underground Sikhs. Later, both were arrested. Paying 1 lakh rupees, the residents of Lahore.
They raged with anger. They forced him to sit on a red-hot iron plate. Then they poured scorching hot sand on his body. Next they put him in boiling water. When his devotee Man Mir saw this, he ran out and asked Guruji if he could destroy Jamahir because it was said that Man Mir had magical powers. Guruji said, all is happening in accordance with the will of Vaheguru. Men who stand truth have to suffer often. Their sufferings give them strength to the cause of truth. Go, brother, pray for the success of my cause. Pray for the victory to truth. Guruji was covered in blisters. He went for a bath in Lake Ravi and never came out. Shaheed means to die and die for a good cause. Examples. Banda Singh Bahadur, along with hundreds of other Sikhs, was tortured. In addition, General Subeg Singh was crushed in rotating wheels. Baba Deep Singh Ji, who was beheaded. All these brave Sikhs fought to protect Sikhs and anyone else who needed protection. Shaheed is important to Sikhs because it helps us remember who died, how, and why. If nobody fought for our religion, we would never be where we are today. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, very thought of those 5 days of torture of being boiled in hot water, hot sand being poured over his dead body, and sitting on hot iron plates bring shivers to my spine. But our beloved Guru, in the midst of all this torture, he was calm and peaceful, and all he could say was, Tera kiya meetha lage, pranam padara nanak mangde. The martyrdom of Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, also known as each other, is another example of how our Gurus were always ready to sacrifice their lives for the benefit of others. There are countless examples of martyrdom in Sikh history, from the Char Sahibzade and martyrs like Bhai Mati Das, by Satmani Singh, and by Bhai Singh, to all the countless Sikh men, women, and innocent little kids that were tortured and killed during the Sikh Holocaust of 1746 and 1762, and not to forget 1984. Another important lesson that we learn from all these martyrdoms is that when one does simmer and one suraj is in union with the right group, and one remains in Chardigla and can endure all kinds of bodily discomfort and even give up one's life happily. Truly, our gurus and countless Sikh martyrs have set great examples on how to happily accept Vaheguru Soka in the most extreme circumstances. My head bows to them in reverence. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji. And we will have that instinct. Bhai Mati Das Ji was sought half by Satya Das Ji for a life. People may ask, why did they do this? What was the point of it? It depends how you want to look on it. Some people can say themselves brave and courageous, while others can say that they their life for no reason and nothing can save themselves. But the meaning of Shahid is someone who wants to give their life for a noble cause. They Bahadur Ji could have easily backed down and be annihilated, but instead he gave his life for it. Why did he come also legend? He did the goal. The definition of a shaheed, martyr in Sikhism, is somebody that gives their life for their faith or an important cause. This is important in Sikhism because it shows that your faith is stronger than anything, that you hold your faith in the highest regard, even higher than your life. Guru Arjan Dev Ji demonstrated this tradition to the Sikhs by becoming the first martyr in history of India, which is how he earned the title of Shaheed Sadaj. He was tortured for 5 days and he had burning sand poured onto his head while he was sitting on a burning hot plate. There are many other martyrs in Sikh history, such as our ninth Guru, Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, who gave his life to protect the Hindu.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. My name is Meera and today I'm here to talk about Shahidi. Shahidi is a Sikh concept of martyrdom. To martyr oneself means to sacrifice one for the goodwill or sake of others. As you know, in our Sikh religion, this is a very important concept since most of our gurus were willing to martyr themselves for the safety of others. I'm on TV. Jahidi is the Sikh concept of materdom. To mater oneself means to sacrifice one for the goodwill or sake of others. As you know, in our Sikh religion, this is a very important concept since most of our gurus were willing to mater themselves for the safety of others. The first guru to set an example of Jahidi was Sri Guru Arjan Dev Ji. Guru Arjan Dev Ji gave his life on May 30th, 1606 in Lahore, Pakistan. Guru Arjan Dev Ji was subject to 5 days of torture, all because people were leaving the Hindu and Muslim religions to join Sikhism. Of course, the great Guru did not care, for he was willing to sacrifice.
Now we have Mehban Singh. Not here. Mohan Singh. Gurpreet Kaur.
वाहिगुरु जी का खालसा वाहिगुरु जी का refers to a man originally celebrated Ashwini. He is a person who sacrifices their life for Sikhism, Shahid may be anyone who is martyred because of religious factors. It is one who chooses death rather than forced conversation. One himself sacrifices life willingly of others. Shahidi is important significant because people have sacrificed their life for their faith. Also, because Guru Ji said that only sacrifice for individuals. Guru Arjan Dev Ji has demonstrated Shahidi by sacrificing his life to protect others. The ruler during Guru Arjan Dev Ji was Jamahir. During convert to Islam, but refused to convert. Jahangir asked Guru Ji many other times about all the times Guru Ji refused. Then Jahangir made a decision and asked the Guru Ji one more time if Guru Ji still refused. And Jahangir made Guru Ji sound like iron will. Guru Ji sacrificed his life to defend his faith. Guru Ji became the pioneer of Marxism, Shahidam Siddhant. Shahidam Karo was the killing of masses of defense. Sikhs have many uses of arms and of self-defense. They are called Kabbalah because of the wholesale slaughter of the innocent with the intention of genocide. The first Sikh Kabbalah was led by those at the main campaign of Afghanistan.
Which simply means martyrdom. In the Sikh faith, the concept of martyrdom is well understood and many leaders followers have sacrificed their lives for their faith and their beliefs. Shahidi is important to Sikhism because the Gurus chose to sacrifice their life to restore the faith of people in the religion. From this, the religion will never break and split apart. Guru Arjan Dev Ji is the first Sikh martyr who guided all humans to stand for truth. During the torture period, Guru Sahib was made to sit on the hot iron plate and burning sand while it was poured over his body. When his body was blistered, he was chained and thrown into the water. Into the river Ravi. Guru Arjan Dev Ji did all this since he stood for the truth. Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, the 96th Sikh Guru, undertook the supreme sacrifice for protection of the most fundamental of human rights, the right of person to freely stand for his or her religion without interference or hindrance. The commitment by a Sikh Guru to protect and support the liberty of all people of the country was unprecedented. The type of supreme sacrifice had never martyrdom of Sahibzadas is Sikhism is of utmost importance. Two older Sahibzadas sacrificed their life in battle of Jaipur, and two younger Sahibzadas were buried alive. All Sahibzadas taught courage and bravery to die for religion. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.
Now we will have Prabhu sing.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. A shaheed is a martyr. The martyrs are people who die for a good cause. In this case, the good cause is dying for Sikhi. Shaheed is important in Sikhi because without shaheeds there would be no Sikhi. In 1606, John here saw that all the Muslim followers of Sikhi were going wrong, which was the center of the Sikh faith in the late 1500s, were following Sikhi. John here didn't like this and arrested Guru Arjan Dev. Guruji refused to give up Sikhi and was forced to sit on a burning plate.
Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. The definition of a shaheed according to Sikhism is one who dies in testimony of their faith. A shaheed is one who is martyred for religious factors, one who dies in battle, one who chooses death rather than being forced to convert, one who willingly sacrifices life for the well-being of others. It is a supreme sacrifice for religion, ethics, country, and people. Sikh history is replete with countless martyrs who sacrificed their lives to uphold their faith and fight injustice. Tera kiya mitha lage, hai naam padat nanak mange. These are the words of Guru Arjan Dev Ji while he was being tortured. He was the first and supreme martyr in Sikh history. Guruji refused to accept Islam, nor did he write words of praise for Prophet Muhammad in the Holy Granth. Sid jai ta jai, mera Sikhi sidak na jai. He proved that it's better to give up your life and fight for justice rather than being forced to embrace another religion. Guruji was tortured for 5 consecutive days. He did not perform any miracles, nor did he take anyone's help. The youngest martyrs were the sons of Guru Gobind Singh Ji. Baba Jeet Singh Ji and Baba Jutar Singh Ji gave up their lives in the Battle of Jangor. After seeing the courage and valiance of the Sikh army, the Sahibzadas felt inspired by the duty of being a Sant Sabai to go in battle and fight for righteousness. Similarly, the Chote Sahibzade, Baba Fateh Singh Ji and Baba Zorawar Singh Ji, rejected the Baba Wazir Khan's request to accept Islam and instead happily to be bricked alive. Chote Jinda, Vadda Asaka. Sant Sangat Ji, our history is full of illustrious examples of brave Sikhs who laid down their lives for their religion. We are so blessed and we should be proud of our rich heritage. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Next is Giovanni Gore. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. जो तो प्रेम खिलन का चाव Satan Tali Gali Meri Ao. Guru Nanak Dev Ji says, if you want to play this game of love with me, come with your head on the palm of your hand. Similarly, Guru Arjan Dev Ji says, Pehla maran kabool, jeevan ki chadiyas, ho sabna ki rain ka, to aao hamare paas. Self-sacrifice is one of the main pillars that hold up all the fundamentals in Sikhi. Shahidi, or martyrdom, is the key outcome of self-sacrifice. A shaheed is a martyr who sacrifices their life for their righteous cause or religious freedom. Jina Singha Singya ne dharam het sees ditte, ban kataye, khopriyan loiyan, charkriyan te